Analysts in London say this may be the United Kingdom's most significant week since World War II because it will decide the fate of Brexit. Just a few minutes ago, in a setback for the government, members of Parliament approved a kind of multiple choice vote to decide their own version of the divorce from the European Union. They will hold that vote on Wednesday. And in another setback for Prime Minister Theresa May, she admitted today that she still does not have enough support for her version of Brexit. The struggle to forge a consensus means that Britain is at risk of crashing out of the European Union without a deal to soften that separation. And as special correspondent Malcolm Brabant reports from Yorkshire, at this critical moment, the kingdom is deeply divided.
This Brexiteers' march from Northern England to Parliament was supposed to end on Friday, when Britain was due to exit the European Union. But the international divorce they voted for has been delayed.
What do we want? Brexit! When do we want it? Now!
John Longworth is the chairman of Leave Means Leave.
The beginning of the Brexit betrayal has started. It's a complete stitch-up between the UK government and the European establishment.
As the marchers set off, the prevailing complaint was that most members of Parliament favour staying in the EU and were working to overturn the result of the 2016 referendum. Amy Brooks is a local councillor for Britain's opposition Labour Party.
I'm really, really disappointed, but I'm really worried, to be honest. I fear that this is the thing that will break democracy in this country. All we have is the vote, and when Parliament don't enact that, what is left?
Remainers often depict Brexiteers as small-minded, bigoted nationalists who hanker after a glorious British past that no longer exists. Schoolteacher Julie Colton defies the stereotype.
We were told it was going to be our decision, and they have pulled up every tree they can to betray it, to stop us from leaving the European Union. So it is absolute treachery.
In the referendum, 52% of voters opted to leave the EU, 48% to stay. 17.4 million people were on the winning side. And John Longworth had this warning.
It's a massive problem that there's a gulf between Parliament and the people. It will have incalculable effects for trust in the UK establishment and the democratic system if in fact we don't deliver Brexit, a proper Brexit. People will be completely disenchanted and it will manifest itself in ways that we can't predict over generations.
Brexit now! Brexit!
Exit from Brexit!
Now!
2 hours into the hike, the marchers were challenged by a lone Remain supporter, Deb Smith.
Exit
What do
from
you want?
Brexit!
Brexit! What do you want it now?
Exit from Brexit! Good morning.
How can you say you believe in democracy?
I believe in democracy. This area is going to be
How do you
poorer.
know that?
Jobs are closing. Go
You
to
don't
elections.
listen, you
I
don't-
talk to politicians. I have.
Oh, you talk to politicians
Absolutely.
and you believe them, do you?
This country has so many difficulties that we need to deal with, and Brexit's just getting in the way.
I'm doing very well. We're marching for you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
1 day later, at Maidenhead Station in the district represented by the Prime Minister, Remain supporter Judith Curry headed to a pro-EU rally in London demanding a second referendum.
I think we're heading for complete disaster, and I have children, I care for my country, I'm a patriot. I don't want to see my country go into chaos.
On London's Underground, teacher Jessica Jenkins shared a commonly held view that older people who voted for Brexit denied the next generation their birthright of access to Europe.
I want my children to be able to travel wherever they want to without any hassle. I want them to be able to work wherever they want to, like I did. I teach languages, I teach French and German. I know the importance of Europe and good connections with Europe, good business connections, and I want them to have exactly the same opportunities that I had.
Historians and constitutional experts believe that this crisis is the biggest that Britain has faced since the Second World War. Back then, the country was united against a common foe, but Brexit has had the effect of turning Britons on each other. The division in this country is really visceral. Civilised conversation has turned to hatred, and social cohesion is really at risk. And the only thing that seems to unite these people is their total disdain for the politicians who are supposed to be representing them.
Liars. Absolute liars.
Jeff would only give his first name because he feared Remainers were being targeted by the right wing.
In every industry, in financial services, if you commit fraud, if you misrepresent, you go to prison. All I want is honesty.
We think that we have topped 1 million miles.
London, a multicultural international city, is at odds with large swathes of Britain. The capital voted to remain in Europe. High school student Leo Buckley.
Not only was there huge foreign interference from the likes of Russia, but in fact the Vote Leave campaign acted illegally. If this was a legally binding referendum or a general election, it would have been dismissed because of the amount of corruption that's gone on behind it.
More than 1,000 days after the referendum result, the uncertainty unsettled consultant Adi Akinrinsola.
It's a big decision, and I do accept that it is something that it's been very difficult to get consensus on, but I think they should have been talking about compromise a lot sooner to find a workable solution and not leave it to the very end.
But the divide persists, even in London. Maintenance worker Sean Deneen.
17.4 million people voted, and they won the vote. And basically, if you change the vote, that's what it's going to be. Fascist country.
And the tension driving that language reaches into families and friendships.
My mum voted Brexit. We hardly, I've had to say to my mum, I look at you now as a different person. It draws me nearly to tears.
Back in the north, marchers described the failure to deliver Brexit on time a national humiliation.
A great march for a great cause. Nothing can be better than marching for democracy.
At lunchtime, there was perhaps a glimpse of the cuisine Britons will face if the country crashes out of the EU without a deal, and there are food shortages as predicted. Fried potatoes on insipid white bread, that northern delicacy, a chip butty.
Better than French fries. Oh, that's true. These are English fries.
In the current climate, it's difficult to tell if they were joking.
It really concerns me, the division, because people are getting very nasty, very aggressive. It's just absolutely bewildering what's happening in the country at the moment.
The Church of England has appealed for unity in what poet William Blake called this green and pleasant land. But the chasm is so profound that may be impossible. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Malcolm Brabant in Yorkshire.